All right, welcome back to day 3 of the Mindset Magic Healing Frequency Experience. I am Dr. Lachelle Weemy, and I cannot wait to dive into day 3 with you. And we're going to talk all about subtle energy frequency imprinting. I hope that you enjoyed the inner voice from yesterday, and I just cannot wait to keep going to this. So what we're going to do is we are going to just remind you that the AO Scan technology utilizes the resonance energy, the scalar waves, and your biofield to read and deliver energy. I feel like this is important for us to acknowledge again, because oftentimes SEFI is the part that is most hard for people, most difficult for people to really wrap their head around. And so if we can just remember that there's lots of really great science behind this, and even if you don't understand it all, it doesn't mean that it's not powerful. Okay. Now, what I want to acknowledge is that scientists over years have been able to find the exact measurement of the frequency of various things inside of our universe. Just like I mentioned yesterday, that we know that the human pancreas cell, for example, vibrates at a such and such a frequency. We also know that there are things in our world that are vibrating at a very specific frequency. For example, I have the frequencies of various essential oils here on this screen. So I know that lavender vibrates at 118 millihertz and rose vibrates at 320. And so when we recognize that we have very specific measurements on the energetic composition of things, and we can figure out where our body is in relation to those things, or where other inanimate objects are in relation to those things, we can actually utilize scalar waves, resonance energy, and the biofield of various things to allow for us to exchange the energetic frequency between items. Okay, so fascinating. All right. The other thing that I want to just acknowledge right here is that when we look at the emotional vibrational scale, we can remember that our energy inside of our body and the electrons in which our body is vibrating is greatly impacted by the emotions that we are feeling. So if you recall, things like joy and knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation vibrate very, very fast. They have a high frequency, a high vibe. But things like fear and grief and depression and guilt and shame and victimhood have a very low, slow vibe and frequency. Okay. Now, this is important because when we understand that emotions can also have a very specific frequency, and we know what those frequencies are, we can use that to influence our body's frequency with the use of the AO Scan technology. Okay, so check this out. Now, this is an example of a metal plate, and what they did was they increased the pitch or the vibration of the actual plate, and they just sprinkled salt on these plates. Now, what you're noticing is that as the frequency increases, the complexity of the salt formations increases and becomes more complex. Very similar to the Dr. Emoto water experiment that I shared with you earlier, we can actually see the configurations of the various frequencies in inanimate objects. And I am going to show you some visual indications that that's happening within our program here in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and open up AO Scan. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and dive into the AO Scan technology. Again, upper left-hand corner will always get you back to home base. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go down to the second to the bottom, which is SEFI. And that stands for Subtle Energy Frequency Imprinter. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things that I am going to give you a general overview in this, and we are going to go into some more details in tomorrow's training. So just know that there's so much to this particular one that it deserves a couple of days. Now, I'm going to make sure again that my person is right here, but I also can recognize that the target for where the energy is being imprinted can also be adjusted inside of this. So I can choose my dog, I can choose a room. I can choose a bank account. In fact, I have a couple of clients that are realtors, so we'll have their properties on here. I have my own rental property on here. When I did my retreat, I had this in here. So you can actually imprint a space. You can imprint inanimate objects. You can imprint people and their biofield. Okay. Now, when I say imprint, I'm just going to give you a little bit of just very basic things here. We can erase frequency that are already present in things, and we can imprint frequencies into things. So when I say things, for example, I have a negative ion ring that is very easily imprintable. Jewelry, so my gold wedding ring, I can also imprint. So what I can do on my iPad or on my phone is easier than a computer, but I can actually set my ring on the screen. I'm going to hit erase, and it is going to draw out any frequency that is actually inside this inanimate object. Okay. And it's only when we're imprinting an actual physical thing that we need to erase. And then what I would do is I would go ahead and keep my ring on that, and I would imprint whatever it was that I wanted to imprint. And I would just hit start. Okay. All right. Now, that's just some basic things there. The other thing that I want to point out is that this thing comes with a massive, beautiful menu, and they continue to add more and more as they discover more baseline frequencies. So what I would love for you to do during your exploration today of this technology is just to check out the various menu options. Now, I'm going to just go ahead into Quantum SEFI, and I'm going to go to Quantum Reach. Now, if I go into Quantum Reach, I'm going to see that there's a drop-down menu that I can choose from here. And oftentimes, I will just find things that resonate with me, that I am feeling that I want to imprint. Let's just say, like my ring, for example, I imprint immune support and health into my ring, and I never get sick. And so every, probably week or so, I'll just erase and imprint frequencies so they're nice and fresh. And that's what I can do. Now, let's just say that I wanted to send myself abundance. Okay. I can either send myself abundance in things that are inanimate, like, again, if I wore my ring, it's going to impact my biofield, knowing that things that are on me are more likely to take a little bit longer than in me. In addition, I can imprint things like water. I can put a glass of water. I would choose glass. I would put that on my phone or my iPad. I would erase the water, and then I could imprint and drink it. Sometimes people will do that because our brain, our subconscious programming that we've had over, generations tell us that when we take a treatment, we're more likely to accept the treatment subconsciously. So that's why placebo pills work, right? So if you are like, oh, I don't know if this works or not, you can imprint something and drink it. You can imprint it into sugar pellets, erase the energy of the sugar pellets, and imprint that energy into it and ingest that as well. An easier way to do it is to actually broadcast. And all I need to do is hit play. And I am broadcasting the energy frequency of abundance to my biofield. Notice how the beautiful, complex configuration is showing me the frequency adjustments of this abundance frequency. And 2 minutes is plenty of time when you pick something specific. If you, let's just say, for example, want to allow something to play all night long, like there's one that I use for restless leg syndrome, I can play it continuously all night long. Be aware that your body will not accept anything that is harmful to you. Your biofield and your consciousness that protects your energy will only accept things that are good for you, and it will reject things that are not. And so you cannot mess this up. You cannot hurt yourself. You cannot hurt anyone else, because your biofield and your consciousness are so complex that you will only get what's best for you. So play around with this and have a lot of fun. Now, the other thing that's really fascinating about many of the different parts of this menu is that I can scan it, and it's going to scan my biofield right now, and it's going to figure out what I need from this menu. And it's telling me that I need love. Interesting, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to broadcast love to myself right now. And I have a lot of browsers. You might see a little delay in the installation, but program is complex. It needs a lot of other just have things that are stuff. That's why, and it just clearing your cache will help with that. But that's all I have to do, and it can read what I need and it can deliver what I need. It's really amazing. So I would go ahead and I would just encourage you to go through each of these menus, and you can find things. This one is definitely has more to do with physical things. I'm going to go back. Quantum affirmations. Just check it out. Just see what's all in here. It's really fascinating how much we have access to and how much they continue to add. Okay. I mentioned the essential oils. This is something that, again, they know the exact frequency of these essential oils. And so oftentimes people will use this in addition to their essential oils, and it just adds more of oomph to the frequency of the oils that they're using. Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to show you inside of this particular technology, and that is the homeopathics. Now, this is one that I use a lot because I can do things by symptom, because I am not a naturopath. I do not have a background in what all of these, things do or mean or what I can use for what. But the program is so sophisticated that I can, as a lay person, figure out what I need. So I go by symptom. You can search for things, but I wanted to show you. So if you have somebody that has ADD, ADHD, or you're dealing with, addiction, or you're dealing with stress or pain, depression, these are different things that you can. So here, I'm going to do general emotions. What I can do is basically all of these homeopathic remedies, they know the frequency of them, and I can broadcast to myself. I can erase a glass of water and imprint it into my water if I want to. I can imprint it into, a sugar pellet if I want to. But the easiest way is just to allow myself to broadcast 2 minutes to me, and it's going to give me the exact frequencies that are going to help with this generalized emotion. There's so much amazing things that you can do with SEFI, and because we use scalar waves, there is no impact in distance. So you can treat someone, read and deliver with resonance energy and scalar waves from anywhere in the world. So a lot of my clients live across the world, and it doesn't matter. And that's what's so powerful about this. In addition, there is no limit to the number of people that you can add as clients. And so I can add my entire family. I can add my friends. I can add my clients. I can add, people that I've met that just need extra support. And I can deliver what they need. Now, just like prayer, there's a difference in our body's biofield and consciousness when it comes to being able to receive this stuff. Okay. So I'm going to explain it like this. If I told you that I'm going to pray for you, and you are not somebody who has had a positive relationship with any type of religion or prayer, and it triggers you energetically, you're going to block that a little bit. Right. And so just know that there are people who are like, yeah, I don't buy into that. Their consciousness is just not ready for it. And so therefore their consciousness will allow them to get what they need, but there might be some blocks. They might not see as much of an impact. Versus if I said to you, I'm going to pray for you, and it's a very just broad, elusive term, the energy from my prayer through scalar waves is still going to get to you, but it's going to be more dilute. Versus if I tell you, can I pray for you right now? You are consciously aware that I am praying for you. You are going to feel it. You're going to feel a sense of calm. You're going to feel a sense of peace. You're going to feel a sense of love because you are consciously aware and you're more readily to receive. So when I am playing SEFI for people, I like to tell them when I'm playing them because it allows for one more layer of receiving from their biofield and from their consciousness. All right, I hope that helps, and I'm excited to dive into a little bit more on SEFI tomorrow inside the training. Bye.